Hello and welcome to Jim and Maylee's Kitchen. We're going to be showing you today how to make a Martabak Manis, which is a dessert pancake. When we were in Indonesia, it was my favorite dessert treat to eat. But it's kind of a guarded secret. Nobody in the family actually knew how to make it over there. So we found some recipes online, we did some trial and error, and we finally got to a place where we can make Martabak Manis here at home. And so far we've gotten very good responses as far as how it tastes and things like that. It has a very unique texture. We'll show you this at the end of the video, but this is how to make it at your home. We're going to start with, in Indonesia they use flour based on protein content. For this they use a medium protein flour. We're going to use an all-purpose flour. That's the closest I could come up with. So let's get started. We're going to make the dough. It's going to call for a cup of flour, it's going to call for about an 1/8 cup, a little bit more of super fine sugar. It's finer than regular sugar, but not as fine as powdered sugar. I actually found this in King Supers, just right up the road. It works great for this recipe. And this is a 1/4 cup. I'm going to fill it just over half full, like such. We're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. These cute little purple things. And a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I didn't realize I bought clear vanilla, and I don't know what the difference is, but that's what I've been using. We're simply going to whisk this together. And ta-da, you're Indonesian chefs. No, I'm kidding. We got more to do. But once we get it all mixed together, we're gonna add a couple things. We're gonna add an egg, and then we're gonna add hot water. Some people use boiling water, some people use cold water. I found that hot water is a nice mix. And it calls for 100 milliliters of water. And I know what you're thinking. What's that in American? Well, it's right around 1/2 cup. So I've got my egg sitting there. Add 100 milliliters of water. I'm going to start by adding the egg in. And this would help if I didn't have a plastic bowl. Whew. Just a little mix here. By the way, if you try this with beaters, you'll repaint your kitchen like I did. So I don't do that anymore, just a whisk. Let's try adding water a little bit at a time. And the hot water seems to give it that easy mixture we're looking for. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a little tough getting started, but once you get it going, it's gonna turn out good as far as mixing goes. And the rest of the hot water here. And we're just gonna whisk it all in. We're gonna get this mixture good and smooth. So once I get it all blended here, maybe about a minute, a little elbow grease in here. This is gonna be a thick batter. See that okay? Get all these lumps out of there. Make it smooth. Anything you change as far as the type of flour you use or the thickness of your sugar, really messes with this. This is the only way so far I've been able to find to get that consistent texture that you find in Indonesia with their martabak. And I'll show you what that looks like when we get down here. All right, just about there. Now, this goes in the fridge for at least an hour. So before we finish preparing this, this recipe works best in an 8-inch pan. And I put it on the biggest burner here. The reason is, in Indonesia they cook with gas. So they have the gas tanks and the gas grill, and it evenly distributes the heat to the pan. Here, if you can't do that, the way I make up for it is the big surface, smaller pan. The recipe calls actually for butter. You can butter if you want. I love the spray. And we're going to preheat and leave the heat on a medium low. I have mine set just over 2. I've learned this from doing this several times. If you cook it higher than that, it's going to burn, and then you've just ruined your martabak. So while this is heating, we've just pulled the dough. Pretend it's been an hour, and we got a couple things to do. We're going to add another egg. We're also going to mix a little baking soda and water. It'll be the very last thing we do before we start cooking. So the baking soda is a half teaspoon. And it's going to mix with 1 tablespoon of water, which I'll do in just a moment. We're going to add a second egg to our mix. And we're back with the whisk. So the last thing we're going to do is add a tablespoon of water to this mixture here. And this is what will help it rise while it's cooking. One more mix with the whisk. And our pan should just about be hot enough. Okay, babe. Oh, get our trusty spatula. And we're going to put it in. You see, we have our heat on just above 2 here, at least on mine, so medium low. Now what we'll want to do is raise the edges on the outside, and I'll show you how to do that. But we'll want to, it needs to cook for about 5 minutes or so. So we're going to set the timer to 15 minutes. Okay. So there's some other things that we need to do to prepare for when we get done. Martabak is made to have something in the middle. What we had over there that was exceptional was a mixture of cheese and peanuts, or peanut butter type taste. They also mix cheese and chocolate sprinkles. You think that's a weird combination, but when you have the martabak, you'll see exactly what I mean. We also have some margarine, because we're going to spread margarine on the top. I have some sugar. We're going to drizzle some sugar because I don't like to use a lot of regular sugar. I have some stevia. That's my preference. Some condensed sweet milk we'll also use to drizzle. And then of course we have our ingredients. We're going to be using a mix of Parmesan and cheddar cheese and peanut butter. So we'll pause for now. We'll catch you back up in 5 minutes. And we're about 5 minutes in. As you can see, there's 10 minutes left on the timer. We want to create an edge around here, and we couldn't do that when we first put it in because the batter was a little too runny. But you'll see when we cut this in half and flip it over, you want that edge to seal in all the goodies. So we're just going to just rotate a little bit and give it a little edge. Now you can see it's starting to bubble here. When this thing is mostly bubbled and not super soft to the touch, that's what we want to finish preparing the martabak. So I'll see you back in about 10 minutes. So it's been about 15 minutes, and as you can see from our martabak, it's starting to brown around the edge. It's bubbled almost the entire way. So what we're going to do is, some recipes call for sugar. I like stevia at this point, but we're just going to sprinkle half a teaspoon on the top where all those bubbles are. Give it a little extra sweet flavor. It's going to have plenty of sweet, but it really sets off the it really sets off the peanut butter and the cheese flavor as well. So now we're going to take our heat and set it to low. Excuse me, baby. And we're going to cover. We're going to cover for about 5 minutes. Make sure your heat is on low. This is the part where it's really easy to burn, but we want it to harden just a little bit on top. So we'll see you back in 5. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes or so. I could look and see it's nice and spongy. Turn my oven off. So the first thing we're gonna do is add some butter, some margarine. Add it to the top here. And if you're in Indonesia, man, this is like they're lathering it on right now. Not so much. Okay. And I'm going to sprinkle some condensed milk on there. This is sweet condensed milk. This takes forever. We're actually going to spread this on one more time after we get our toppings on. Okay, so we got our sweet condensed milk, we got the butter. Now it's time to take it out, cut it in half, and add some toppings. I'm going to cut this in half. You can see the edges that we raised at the 5-minute mark. Kind of helps hold everything in. And we're going to cut it right down the middle. A little crunchy at the bottom, that's a good sign. Okay. Now, this is where you put the toppings of your choice. In Indonesia, we saw them put fresh grated cheese, regular cheese, shredded cheese, and then they also use chocolate sprinkles, or they use peanuts. There's a number of things you can use. We're going to use a mix of mozzarella and cheddar for half of this. Spread it out nice and evenly. And you wouldn't think that cheese and peanut butter works, but it works. And I know there's some of you out there going, are you kidding? My grandpa made me cheese and peanut butter sandwiches all the time. That actually happens. I have heard that before. And then I just got some generic crunchy peanut butter here. And I'm going to spread it on this side. Oh, I love crunchy peanut butter. I don't think he actually discovered it, but God bless George Washington Carver for making peanuts relevant. Okay, so we got it covered. I'm going to take one more pass with the condensed milk that I seem to be spilling everywhere. Come on, work with me. I think I'm about ready to start a new bottle of condensed milk here. And we'll just finish this off here. I'm going to fold it. No burn. I'm going to add some butter to the very top. And ta-da! Martabak Manis. One thing I want to point out, if you look at the texture of this, I don't know if you can see the lines in the bread, babe. This is what you're looking for. These lines here, that's classic Martabak texture. So when you cut this, the way they typically cut it in Indonesia is in slices like this with one down the middle. Put it in a box. When you serve it, you want to put it in the microwave for about 15 seconds each little piece, and you want to serve the top and the bottom since they both have fillings on it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them on this YouTube post and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. It's on my phone, so I'll get it instantly. And if you have any comments or things that you've done differently to make Martabak, I would be very interested in hearing it, and let's share recipes, and I hope you enjoy this. Thanks, have a great day.